we do not have any more time. We no longer have a choice. We need to act for more sustainable mobility.
This is a fabulous summit. It's about clean mobility. It's about leaving a planet which is cleaner to our children.
So as you can see, Movin'On is all about great collaboration and great partners. Behind Movin'On, there's of course Michelin, our host today, but also many key partners that you can see here who are actively supporting Movin'On ambition in achieving sustainable mobility.
We work all year in a non-improvised way to bring here all the results in an improvised way.
That's great. That's fantastic.
But this is just the beginning.
What a day it was, right? So what makes this event so exciting is that it really stresses out the importance of collaborative work when it comes to innovation and sustainability. More than 300 organizations and 60 countries participate in the Movin'On ecosystem. So before I introduce our guests, let's actually get to know the values and the people that are behind Movin'On. In 2021, we are celebrating the 5th edition of the Movin'On Summit, with once again a simple yet crucial idea at its core. The future of sustainability starts with mobility. Transportation is the largest producer of energy-related CO2 emissions globally, accounting for nearly a quarter of these emissions. If we want to stop global warming and protect our planet, there's no other way than to revolutionize our transport system and, more broadly, reshape mobility to make it more sustainable, useful, and accessible to all. But what makes Movin'On so special is that the ecosystem it has created is much wider than the transportation industry alone. The organization brings together countries, cities, civil society and private companies. Pooling their unique expertise and diverse views on mobility, stakeholders can create innovative solutions that will benefit everyone. And the summit is only the tip of a much bigger movement that acts for sustainable mobility year-long through digital meetings and collaborative work. A further step that has been taken this year with the announcement of a new governance that will strengthen Movin'On's impact globally.
We are here today because all of us believe that mobility is at the heart of human development.
9 CEOs of major global companies are joining Florent Menegaux, the president of Michelin, who is also the president of Movin'On. Together, they will define the organization's strategy for a more sustainable future in mobility. And backing them, the entire Movin'On ecosystem will strive to make our common future brighter. And now back in our studio in Paris with Florent Menegaux, the CEO of Michelin, and you're also the president of Movin'On. So it's great to have you here with us today. Thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure, Asha.
Right, so Florent, can you tell us about this new governance of Movin'On and the role of your fellow CEOs that you have in this committee? It's really exciting. It's great news indeed. Why them and why now?
Movin'On has been created 4 years ago, and with the recognition that mobility is really fundamental for human progress. But we have to design and orchestrate a new mobility today and tomorrow if we want to accommodate more than 7 billion people around the world that need to move. Now, how do we do that? It is a very complex subject, and it requires a lot of different skills, different type of businesses. That's why I decided to enhance and enlarge the reach of Movin'On by inviting 9 CEOs of global corporations to help us promoting how do we create a more sustainable mobility.
All right, so private companies have indeed a key role to play in leading innovation. This is what you're saying.
Exactly, and it's private corporations, small, big, and the one we've chosen are global corporations because it's a global issue, and private corporations that can bring together resources and act.
Right, so innovation and collaboration are quite central in the MovinOn ecosystem. But I guess it's sometimes quite difficult to unite, companies who are competing actually on the market and make them work together. That's challenging. So even the private-public sector collaboration is not easy, Florent. So how do you do it?
Yeah, it's first we have to talk and we have to be aware of the same kind of issues, and we have to recognize the same things, and as soon as we agree that this is a complex and difficult issue that needs a lot of collaboration, that's the beginning. But it's not easy. That's why I've asked these nine CEOs that have accepted to join us at MovinOn just to move to the next step with MovinOn.
So Florent, what you're saying is actually private companies have a leading role to play to promote innovation.
Yes, and then let me give you some examples of the complexity of the issue we have to treat. If we want to make mobility more sustainable, first we have to find new type of energies. So that's why we have corporations like Total, Engie, energy players that are joining MovinOn. But then also we have to make this energy available and at the disposition. Then we have to reinvent vehicles that are going to use these type of technologies and this new type of energy. That's why we have Renault, but also we have many different vehicle makers that are also part of MovinOn. But then it requires technology. It requires information to better move in cities, for example. So that's why we have Microsoft with us as well. But we also need a lot of consulting to help redesign what we have done in a new way. That's why we have a consulting firm. But it's mobility. It goes sea, air, on the ground, and that's why we have CMS AGM to represent 25% of the worldwide flows are on the sea with boats, and CMS AGM is not only a boating company, but it's also a logistic corporations, etc., etc. So that's why we need many different skills, many different type of businesses to create this new mobility that is going to help humanity progress. I am convinced that we can build that mobility that will be cleaner, safer, more accessible to many, and in front of the major world challenge of how do we accommodate for 7 billion people, 8 billion people, 9 billion people? How do we make sure that they get the same access to knowledge, science, work, pleasure, friends, families, etc.? They will need to be mobile. And so how do we do that in a manner that does not kill them while they're mobile?
Because mobility is a right.
Exactly. Mobility is a right, and it's a fundamental way of human progress.
Maybe a last question, Florent, that I have with you. So if you could define mobility in one word, what would that be?
It would be life.
Wow, I think that's brilliant, that's beautiful. Thank you very much, Florent. I wish you a very exciting and enlightening summit. And here is the program for tomorrow with some in-depth discussions about the circular economy and mobility with amazing guests like Christophe Wolff, WEF, Ilham Kadri, Solvay, Jean-Philippe Hermine, Renault, Alexander Holst, Accenture. We will also get insights from Capgemini and Vinci on infrastructure design and an incredible working session with the WBCSD and much more. So don't miss anything. You have all the information about the program on our website. See you tomorrow for another Daily Moving On. Bye-bye.
The Daily with HSBC, official partner of MovinOn Summit.